Welcome to Hello Chaos, the weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic lives and minds of entrepreneurs, innovators, and founders. Today we have LeiLani Kopp. She is the founder and formulator of Sweet LeiLani Cosmetics. Welcome to Hello Chaos.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am so excited to hear about your journey, and I know you're going to give us some really good tips and insights because you kind of like got into the foundership and ownership and have just exploded. So why don't you just start us out and tell us about your founder journey? What inspired you to start your own company?
Wow. Okay. I never set out to have a company. I had no business background. I'm a hair and makeup designer in film and TV. But film and TV focused on glamour. And I spent a year in LA working with some pretty big celebrities, and I loved it. It's all I wanted to do was become a special effects makeup artist and work in Hollywood. But coming back to Vancouver, I realized that it was really difficult to break into the film industry here. We were just starting out. We were starting to be called Hollywood North.
That's what I was like. Then that Hollywood North, it's all the...
Yeah. So I thought, okay, well, I've got to get another job so that I can work my way up into the union here. And I thought, well, I'd love to go work in funeral homes, making loved ones look really great because I did my grandma when she passed away at 16. And I thought, oh, if I can do my grandma, I can do anyone. Yeah. Went around to the funeral homes, but at that time you had to become an embalmer. And I wasn't ready to sign up for that job. So again, while I was waitressing, trying to get into the union, I started working with the Look Good, Feel Better program up here in Vancouver. It's for cancer patients undergoing treatment. And I found that a lot of them came up to me and said, would you do this privately? So I started styling wigs out of a bedroom. I was already doing wigs for stunt drivers. And then they wanted help with makeup. And I had kit loads of makeup. But it was full of gunk. It was full of chemicals. Just didn't work for post-op sensitive allergic skin. And so I always say to myself, what were the first two mistakes that I made? And it was like, how hard could it be to create a product and how hard could it be to take it to market? And it was very hard. I sort of went down a rabbit hole researching ingredients, good and bad. I kept a skincare cover stick. Was selling that in the film industry, was selling it to cancer patients. And then I became certified as a paramedical corrective makeup artist and tattooist. And I started my program called Face the Future, where everything was free of charge. And styled wigs, and I did corrective makeup, and I tattooed areolas on after breast reconstruction. So by this time, I had a lot of surgeons referring patients to me, and I thought, wow, if there's this many people undergoing cancer, what about everybody been burned or scarred?
And is this all happening in the Vancouver market? Just in that that local market? So you hadn't really even expanded
no
to a wider spread market. That is amazing. Okay.
No, and I only had the one product. I was selling it to the other makeup artists, and I was selling it to cancer patients. But now I was going around to plastic surgeons, the burn and trauma unit, and surgeons were sending me patients that literally had been in tragic, horrific accidents, fires, you name it. And I realized quite quickly I needed more products. So that's when I created the rest of the line, and then realized quickly that I needed another outlet to sell this brand in. So I ended up in drug, grocery, health food stores across Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you break into that? Did you know somebody? Did someone refer you?
No.
I'm just like the commercialization is some of the hardest part to get on the shelves. Such a challenge. How did you break into that?
I did everything all over the map because I didn't have a clue, but I knew that there was a need for it. And so I went to one of our local grocery outlets that he was a big name locally, and he was a philanthropist, and he believed in small business. So I went to him first, and he test marketed me in about 3 stores, 6 stores, 9 stores. And then other buyers started seeing us in this bigger grocery store. And so they started coming to us, which was really nice. But I mean, that created a whole other can of worms with, display fixtures and listing fees. And
right. Well, also it's like then the manufacturing of the inventory and the supply. So did you have like a product name for just that one? Or is it just, that's how LeiLani started and it was just like LeiLani like cover stick or something? Or did you have a name?
Yeah. I called it skincare cover because it covered literally everything and anything. It was like a second skin. Men could wear it for facial scarring. It's waterproof, sweat-proof. But when I created the line, I wanted to have some fun with it. That was when all the big companies were, I don't know, all the names were rose, amber, beige, olive, and I just wanted to have some fun. My name means, Sweet LeiLani means heavenly flower, so hence our logo. And I wanted to have fun, so we named everything Hawaiian names and just did what we want. I did everything the way I wanted. I mean, we're very sustainable. We have recycled sugarcane tubes and biodegradable cardstock packaging. And I remember back in the day, printers and people would be like, that's not going to fly like that.
Right.
But I knew that there was a niche. We were bombarded with superficial standards. And now I'm on a mission to redefine what beauty means, because we need to take a holistical approach to it for our well-being inside and outside, right?
That's right. Be very conscientious of what we put, not just in our bodies, but also on our skin. And yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So when you went from zero of knowing, not having a business, kind of corporate knowledge, and just kind of went into this very competitive industry and got on shelves, got commercial recognition. What did you discover about yourself in this journey? I mean, is there anything that's really surprised you of like, wow, look, I really learned something about myself?
I think that came later. Back then I was so naive. I was so young and I didn't have a clue. I was just, but what kept me going was I had like husbands that were crying and hugging me and saying, you don't know what you've done. My wife, she'll go out in public again. And I don't want to exploit that anybody in any way, shape or form has to wear makeup.
Right.
It's not about that. It's that these women and men, they came to me and they needed to really get on with their lives, and they just needed a little bit of hope and help, and just so that they could get up and feel good, because you know what it's like. We have a bad day, and that sounds so horrible, but that's just life, right?
Yeah. People have to feel, it's more about feeling comfortable and confident. And
yeah.
Well, so I'm going to ask my big question. If you had to sum up your journey in one word, what would that word be?
Ballsy.
Ah.
Yeah. Because that's what
That's such a great word, by the way.
Like
Chandler's over here going, yes.
I know. Yes. I always say, when they say, what's the one piece of advice? And, you're speaking to women, and I say, we need some lady balls. We do.
Yeah.
We do.
That's what we call it the baller energy. I don't, or as I was just talking to another female founder, I do, I'm a coach in the entrepreneurial community here, and, in the minority business sector.
Wow.
And so I get 2 or 3 people every year, like a spring, summer, fall, that I keep. But one of them, she's so funny. I mean, she started her company 3 years ago. I mean, she has just crushed it. It's in the environmental space, and she's gotten by people coming out of the woodwork, competitors who are like, I want want to buy you.
Oh,
And,
oh.
and and one is like, I just want to remove you from the playing field.
Yeah.
Like, and the other two are, in talks of like, no, we like what you're doing. We want you to actually, we not just want to acquire you. We want you to come on board to our company and help us grow and scale. But she's like, oh my God, I never thought in a million years. So she goes, how do I approach, it's all new. It's a, what a wonderful time, life experience of having that. But she was, Jennifer, how do I get prep for these meetings? Like, what do I ask? What should I share? So as we were going through, I said, well, I know you're a big Yellowstone TV, she loves Yellowstone. And I was like, you can't say big dick energy, right? The BDE. But I was like, you can be the Beth Dutton energy. That I don't know if you're familiar with the show, but she's like the most ballsy female business person. Like, she takes no prisoners. She is fearless when she goes into a boardroom, fearless in negotiations. And so that's why I was like, you need to, embrace that BDE, but instead of the, big dick, we're Beth Dutton. It's the Beth Dutton energy. So
Exactly.
yeah. But Chandler and I were talking about like, we need to have some baller. We call it need to have more females with that that confidence.
I love it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love your word. And I would say we've done about 1,000 of these, talked to founders from all over. We've never had a repeat word.
Wow.
And so I love that's why I love asking it. And we're getting more and more unique words. Like, we already had the intentionals and the purposeful and the
right.
Mine is serendipitous. We've had accidental. We've had risk taking, like all sorts of words. But I love ballsy. That's a good one. That might be the topic of this episode.
The word of the day is
the word of the day, ballsy. I love it. Well, you kind of talked about, things that have been really rewarding in your journey, of the stories, the impact that you've had. Has that been the most rewarding aspect, or are there other, rewarding things that have happened in your journey?
I think that that's the most rewarding. I mean, that's what's kept me humble. That's what's kept me going. That is the core of my brand. It's the core of who I am. I was always told it's never going to fly. It's all glitz and glamour, makeup, But I was speaking on a podcast the other day, and I just said that I had to learn to stay in my own lane and stay true to why I started the brand. And that's why I'm still alive in this huge competitive field, is because, and I think I was a little ahead of the curve back then to even know what clean beauty, cruelty-free, vegan.
That's right, because that's all just taken a surge just in the last, 2-3 years, maybe 5?
Yeah, exactly. So, I just have to, one foot in front of the other, stay in my lane.
That's right. But stay true to the, vision. I own a marketing company, and that's, my founder story is, I started that back in 2013, but spending 25 years on the agency side, working for, big brands at big agencies. And I think that's the biggest piece of advice that we always had, either, if you're a startup or a scale-up company, one, know your vision, know your impact, like really not just as a founder and a person, but what's your brand's why? Because that will help drive your message. But it's amazing that a lot of companies and a lot of founders don't know that. They haven't discovered that. And so we kind of help coach them through that, but then they get lost. Like if they have been in it for 5 or 10 or 15 years, and then they come and go, I'm not growing. And it's like, well, this is my vision. And it's like, well, you've strayed from that. Like, let's talk about it. Is it time to pivot, or is it just because they've chased competitors and not really been true to themselves?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Stay on path.
And it was easy to deviate and when we were working with drugstores, that every, spring, fall, summer, they wanted new stuff, new stuff, new stuff, new shadows, new this, new that. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, this is not why I started. I excel in clean complexion products that are pure and full of skincare. And you can go get eyeshadows and lipsticks everywhere. I'm here to help with all kinds of skin conditions, whether you've been burned or scarred or you have acne,
Right.
And now my mission is more about the clean because of what it's doing to our hormones, what it's doing to kids going through puberty, women trying to have babies with their reproductive system. I'm in menopause and my body's already going through major havoc. Why do I disrupt my hormones even more? So there's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the category I think we're bringing some of that out, but I don't know if it's, I don't think it's even hit its peak yet. I think we're just starting to see the start. We're at the start of the bell curve, right? We haven't really hit the peak of it yet.
Yeah.
Because I've always been, I grew up in a very organic, natural, like I always tell people, I was raised by hippies, and it was always like, look at the labels of, my lotions were always like pure vitamin E and all of that. But it is kind of read the labels, but you forget about makeup. Like, I think that's one area. It's like, you just go and get the drugstore dupes or, you forget to look at like what you're putting on your face.
You do. And you know what, as consumers, we have to be more savvy and we have to take more attention to these labels, because what drives me nuts are these big companies that we don't know where you're getting their raw ingredients from. They're harming the animals there, but because in the lab they're not harming the animal, they can say they're cruelty-free or vegan, and it's just simply not true. So, we need to start asking bigger questions and asking for transparency with all these companies.
Yeah. What's been the most challenging aspect? You've talked about the most rewarding aspect of being a founder and starting this. What do you feel like? You've had probably a lot of little mini learning how to get through this and go to commercial, and all that. But what's the most challenging?
I think the most challenging always comes down to money. I've bootstrapped this company from day one. I don't have any partners. I don't have big advisory people sitting on a board. So it's been very challenging to navigate that, because manufacturing takes a lot of money with, inventory and minimums. And
that's right.
So,
and the supply chain, ingredients, all of
so
packaging.
Yeah. So all of above.
All of the above. The cash flow, I think that's probably the hardest for a lot of it. Is just the investment and the money to do a lot of stuff, but then it's like, how do you manage that?
Exactly.
To grow. Well, do you think there's any myths or misperceptions out there of, now that you started your company, that either you've heard and you're like, oh, people, let me tell you, or, or do you think there's anything out there that you've had to correct, either friends or family, or advice to other entrepreneurs? What would you say to that? Like, how would you debunk anything?
I think that it's always come down to educating people how these companies are walking a fine line. Like I said, I was a little ahead of the curve, and so it was like people are like, me, yeah, okay, yeah.
That's not important. No one really cares about that. Yeah.
And now, people are really looking at what they're putting into their mouths. A celiac cannot wear makeup that has gluten, because our skin is the largest organ. You're absorbing all of
I didn't think about that.
Glitters in the eyeshadows are washing down our drains, and the fish are eating the micro beads, plastic beads from it, and then we're eating fish, so it's in our food chain. So, it's always been, I just trying to like the little engine that could,
That's right.
educate. That's probably,
Well, now they're paying attention because there's a market.
exactly.
The consumer is now paying attention,
Mhm.
and so now it's like, okay, see, there's a market for that.
Mhm. Yeah.
What do you think has been? What was your big your breakthrough moment, your biggest aha?
I think when the husband hugged me crying because
Mm.
I was banging my head against the door with doctors. They were telling me it's just makeup. These women needed to get on with their lives. But I was in the trenches
Ugh.
working. I know. And I saw what it was doing. Like I've been around for decades. I've seen what makeup does to us on the outside, but over the years, it's how it's transformed these women and men on the inside. It was more than makeup, it was therapy. And when that husband hugged me crying, I was like, oh my God, I have to keep doing this. I have to, I can't, because there was times where I was like, okay, this is,
should I just go back to
flogging a dead horse here? Yeah.
yeah. Do you think there's a moment from your past, like experience, that really shaped who you are today as a founder, a business leader?
I think it was doing my grandma's hair and makeup when I had just turned 16. And
that, I can't even imagine that. Oof.
And I had always wanted to be a makeup artist, and I'd always done her hair and her makeup. And yeah, when we were in the funeral home, I don't know, it was, who would have fallen off their chair first, the funeral guy or my mom? Like, they were just like, what? No. And I remember walking out of there going like, I know what I'm going to do. Like, I know exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to somehow help with, I was never book smart, but I was very creative. So I always tried to use my skills to help,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Make an impact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you've had some incredible experience. What do you think our listeners would be most surprised to learn about you or to know about you?
I think I lost that. I'm probably I'm like the lowest maintenance person around. You'll never even probably find me with a lipstick in my purse. It's hilarious. I don't like 7 products to take off. That's why all my products are very multitasking. Like my cleanser is a body wash, face wash, makeup remover, shampoo, and brush cleaner. You throw it in the shower and it's like done. So, so
you're like,
to think that I'm in this industry, like I should be all like glam and glitz.
That's right.
But no, I'm very low maintenance.
You're like, no. You're like, no, the minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, think about Bobby Brown.
Mm-hmm.
She made an entire franchise off of minimalist.
Exactly.
Minimalist.
Yep.
Or 2. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you're just following suit. All right. So if you could change 2 things about your business moving ahead, like just snap of a finger, if you could change 2 things about your business today, what would they be and why?
Well, we're trying really hard to pivot to e-commerce. I feel like I'm balancing 2 companies. I was pushed into that way during COVID.
But direct to consumer probably is an excellent path. Absolutely.
Retail is a dying breed. So that's the biggest thing that we're working on next, and building out that platform so we can reach more people. We have a warehouse in the States as well as in Canada, so we are able to ship, North America wide so far. But just, to broaden our reach and to educate and redefine what beauty really should mean to you.
Well, and also give people, a lot of people may not know these products exist and are accessible.
Exactly. Yes. So thank you for your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get the word out. Okay, so LeiLani, if we met a year from now, what will we be celebrating?
We would be celebrating that our TikTok shop is doing absolutely incredible. That's what we're working on now, working with influencers. So I think that.
Are you working with influencers today?
We're just starting. We're just waiting for our TikTok shop. But yeah, we had to open a presence in the States to be able to open the actual shop. And then the influencers only work through the shop. So in a year, you will know my name. How about that in the U.S.?
Very good. I love it. We'll be ready. We're going to pop some champagne.
All right.
I saw this. I don't know if it's floating around on the Reels, TikTok and Instagram. I'm sure like Chandler and I are both like scroll junkies. But it's a fantastic idea. I'm going to do it with some friends of mine, but it's, get a bottle of champagne or a wine, whatever you want to use, but everyone write like your goal for 2025, and you write it on the bottle and you save it, you shelve it, and then you can then bring out next December or December 31st and see, did you hit, and then you can pop the champagne or open up the bottle of wine. But everybody kind of collectively, your friend groups, and that way you can have a party of like, did I hit the goal?
I love it. I'm going to do that. I love it.
And it kind of goes like, so a couple years ago, a friend of mine said, I don't know if it's like a Japanese tradition of, and there's a name for it, I think like misogi or something like that. But it is every year you should have like, what is your defining year? Like you should have one that defines that year, whether that might be a goal that you put on the bottle of wine, but it should be something. So I've been trying to do that, like, what's going to be my what's going to be the year defining thing, that whatever big project, or is it a big goal, or, is it something with the kids or family or whatever? But I was like, oh, that can be what I put on my bottle.
Yeah.
For,
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
Do that. Yeah. We should. And then we should all come back on and go and do some like group video or something and share. Did we hit it?
Yeah.
Or did we go, where am I allowed to open it? Do I need to save it for
and then drone our
Chandler's like, no, you need to open it, and just like, I did something else. So what do you think is the best piece of advice, that you've ever received as a founder that you really took to heart and said, I heard that, I'm going to take that, and you put it to use? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Take the first step. Doesn't matter what it is. Just take the step.
Just do it.
I like to work backwards. I like to have my end goal and then make notes backwards on, okay, what do I need to do? So almost like a tree that branches out with little bullet forms of to do this. I need this to do this. And then just move forward, because as long as we're moving forward, we're moving forward.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So take the first step.
Take the first step. Yeah. That is very good advice. Is that, what do you do when you get stuck? Like when you're taking that step, do you ever find yourself, you're like, I've hit a wall, I'm stuck. Do you have any tips or insights of like, how do you get unstuck?
Yes, you're going to get stuck over and over and over. You know,
1,000 times.
Well, I just go plot twist, like somebody or something is saying, nope, not going to work. So pivot, turn, make a left, make a right. Again, take a step somewhere. Change direction and take the step.
Just move forward.
Yeah.
Just do something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is there, would that be your piece of advice that you would give to other founders? Or is there another, like, look, this is my advice to you?
I have one other: research.
Yeah.
Research.
Yeah.
I think too many people jump in thinking it's so easy.
Oh, yeah.
How hard can it be? I did.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
It's very hard. And
Now, do you think you would have done it if you did all the research?
yeah, you know what? I don't know, honestly, because I had no business background. Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably.
But a lot of us don't have business. I mean, I grew up in like in marketing and worked in corporations, and I probably had a lot of, but I still didn't know how to run a business.
Yeah.
I mean, from an accounting perspective, I mean, I came from, media planning and buying, data analytics,
Yes.
and brand strategy,
Yes.
not operations.
No.
I mean, I was a part of those things as a manager and a director and stuff and in an organization, but I felt I felt very protected
Right.
when, and I didn't realize when I started my company how vulnerable and exposed and ill prepared.
Yes.
When I thought I was surely, I've been in agencies for 25 years. I've been in management. I've seen how they operate. I've seen billings. I've been a part of these discussions of like how to develop manuals and processes and systems. But then coming out on my own, I didn't realize how hard it would be to negotiate under my own brand versus kind of protected under somebody else's.
Right.
And being truly 100% accountable and responsible for everything. And people on my team, I would be responsible and accountable for their mistakes I don't really say mistake, like their missteps, because they're all lessons that we learn.
You didn't.
But yeah, it was, that was like,
Yeah.
that was shocking to me of how difficult I found myself and stumbling way more than I ever thought I would stumble.
Yeah. Well, you don't have that safety net. I think one
No.
thing as well would be, my dad always said, know your numbers. You don't need a big, expensive accountant or anything, but have a bookkeeper in your back pocket.
Yeah.
From day one. That was the other thing I never did. I did everything on my own, but I did know to do it because my dad kept saying, know your numbers, in fact,
Right.
I'm aging myself, but you'd have those big ledger books and you'd just,
That's right.
oh my goodness. But yeah, so know your numbers from day one, because
That's right.
you can really get messed over if you don't know them.
That's right. And if you do need help, this is why I started Orange Whip as a media company that's here to serve founders and entrepreneurs, but in affiliate markets, local, because like I'm in the upstate of South Carolina, and but I've got friends and founders in San Diego and Oakland and Indianapolis and Austin and I I've talking with a lot of founders and clients that startups. I'm like, we're all saying this, that we get lost in how to navigate in our local market. There are 80 some, 90 some resources just in Greenville's tiny. I mean, compared to Vancouver, we're a tiny market, but there's 80, 90 resources. Austin, Texas, there's like 300. Most of them are free resources for founders and entrepreneurs, startups and scale-ups that nobody knows how to navigate, where to go. I had no idea what the small business development centers were in a market that would have sat down with me and showed me and would have taught me just the terminology of, yes, you might have a bookkeeper, but you still need to know your numbers and you need to understand how to read a statement.
Yeah.
Or, to be able to read your numbers and know what they mean. And, but there's, like I've been a part of accelerators and incubators and Start Me courses. And that's when I started to formulate these little communities and go, my goodness, some of us are really lost and we're thirsty for information.
Right.
But every one of these courses, that's the very first thing they'll teach you or they'll tell you, you need to run your business by the numbers. Yeah. You need to know your numbers. And you need to speak that language. I call it the language of business. Because, you know, when you go and you need money from a bank, they're going to ask you about your numbers.
That's right. That's right.
And your projections. So you need to be able to have that dialogue and be able to express what your vision is, but in terms of numbers.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's what they want.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the best, I just want to, you talked about kind of know your numbers, and then, you know, some of the advice. The best piece of advice I've heard lately, like in the last few days, and it's really sunk in with me, and I shared it with the other female founder about like Beth Dutton Energy or whatever. We're like, we need to bring that BDE. You know, she was like, I'm uncomfortable having these conversations because if I get acquired, especially the ones that want to acquire her and then bring her a part of her business, I said, look, it's forming a relationship. Like you're then going to go interview for this person like it's a job, right? So have the freedom to ask whatever you want, because you can always just walk away.
Right.
And she was like, well, how will I know when to walk away? And I said, well, you know about yourself, and because you talked about ships, right? I was like, a ship takes you on a journey. It gets you from it's taking you to a destination, wherever that is. It's your journey. So you need to know what your journey is, what your vision is for yourself. You've got to do some self-reflection. Are you ready to sell? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, do you want, or in the case of if people are looking for investors, a lot of times that's a risk of, are you ready for not just the money, but with that money comes oversight.
Yeah.
Comes sometimes loss of decision-making and authority of, you know, I mean, so, and especially as females too, we hear, I mean, there is a larger percentage of females that get driven out of the company that they founded.
Wow.
More often than men. When they bring on, you know, investors, that's just a risk. Or I would say females, but also minorities, just in general, of we you know,
wow.
It's a higher rate. I can't remember what but it's a higher rate of like, of we get removed from the business that we started.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, you got to know yourself. I was like, you think about a ship, it gets you, you know, wherever your journey is. And so when you think of any ships in your life, your relationships, whether that's a peer ship, whether that is a partnership, like manufacturer relationship or retail relationship, you know, any kind of any relationship you have in your life.
Right.
If that ship no longer is moving you forward, moving you towards your destination, it's time to then abandon that ship. And I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to note that.
Yeah.
That was a good one. And so I shared that with her, and she was like, oh my God, that's like brilliant. You know, and then I'm like, I know. It's like that just puts it in perspective of if we've got people that we are forming these, you know, and we're bringing them into our business. They could be employees. They could be, you know, again, partners, leadership, business. It's all relationships, friendships. If we're, you know, it's got to be something that is either keeping our energy intact and our vibe, and that's protected, or it's moving us forward in some way.
Right.
And yeah. And if it's not, set the boundaries or cut them out.
I know, smart advice though. Very smart.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share about LeiLani and Cosmetic? Like, where can people contact you and find more information about you? I mean, you like I said, you bring a lot to this category, not just with products, but I think just your vision of where this industry has the ability to go. So how do you want people to reach out to you?
Yeah. So we're here in Vancouver, Canada. However, we ship, you know, across North America. But we're here for you. So reach out if you're undergoing some kind of autoimmune deficiency, skin issue, medical issue, reach out to us. There's a lot we can do now through the computer. I'm on LinkedIn under Sweet LeiLani Cosmetics or LeiLani Kopp. We are Sweet LeiLani Cosmetics on Instagram and Facebook. So reach out. And in the meantime, make one small switch. So when you run into your next foundation, throw it out and go read some labels and buy a clean product. One switch at a time.
One little switch. Yeah. Buy clean. And we'll definitely tag every,
Thank you.
The Instagrams and your LinkedIn so everybody can reach out to you. But I appreciate everything. This has been a fantastic conversation and appreciate you hanging out with me today.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. For everyone listening or watching us, thank you for joining us. And again, this podcast episode is available on all your favorite podcast platforms. So subscribe to Hello Chaos. Give us a like. Give us a comment. Review us. Give us a great review. Help us build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange Whip. That is Orange Whip, WIP for Work in Progress. Orange Whip is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities. We are in 3 cities in South Carolina today, looking to expand to other cities. We are a one-stop content hub for founders, delivered in an innovative digital zine. And really easy to join our community, just an email, and you're a part of it. So you can get all the tips and tricks and insights that all of our founders that we talk to, they share with us, and we like to deliver that to all of our community. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or support us, send us an email to hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It is where AHA meets oh shit, and I am your host, Jennifer Sutton. I will see you again next week.